is up, Kyber Cave Productions family?
What's up?
How are you all this evening? We are glad to see you here with us.
Thank you
Ark,
for
how are
taking
you?
a break to watch the show, Raph. And I want to say
Yeah.
what's up to Hammond
Hi,
Gaming.
Raph.
That's a
Hammond!
new name.
That's my friend.
Oh, okay. That was a name I did not recognize, so.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
What's up,
Hammond.
Saywong?
Thank you for coming in. Hammond Productions. Goodness gracious, Hammond. That's two accounts. You're so silly. Raph, good to see you. Saywong, it is lovely to see you. I can't believe for the longest time I did not know Sia's name was Saywong. And hi, Duran Duran! And then,
It took me a long time to figure it out as well. He is quite the hidden character.
It's like I should have known. He was always pointing out about if we were starting on time. And I just thought he picked it up from Saywong, but it's always been Saywong.
Yes, I was actually at a con today, so I made it on time. So I'm
Just
happy to
barely.
be here. What's up, Duran?
All right.
We just so everybody knows, we picked up a few more viewers today at the con in Concord, and we are 41 people away from a NeoPixel giveaway.
Guys, NeoPixel.
That's and then that will be the Kyber Cave exclusive NeoPixel as well.
Yeah,
so,
if you don't know about our Saber giveaways, every 100 subs we give away a Saber, and NeoPixels are the really nice ones. The only rules is you cannot have one a Saber in the last 6 months, and you can't be an employee of Kyber Cave or Kyber Cave Productions. And if it needs to be shipped to you, you'll have to pay for shipping, which is roughly $15.
You should
I don't know
be
what
excited.
that is. You know what that is, but I'm excited. Hammond, it's a Saber. It's a combat Saber.
And while we have everybody's attention, hey, Metz, you got that little video that you made to let people know about the exciting guests we have coming up?
I do. Please enjoy this lovely advertisement for Adasa from Encanto, who plays Dolores, who will be on our show.
We don't talk about Bruno, no, no, no. We don't talk about Bruno. It was my wedding day. We were getting ready and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. Bruno walks in with a mischievous grin. You tell him the story, or am I?
I'm sorry, mi vida go on.
Bruno's sister looks like rain. In doing so, he floods my brain. Married in a hurricane.
What a joyous day.
All right,
We
so
don't
yes, I'm
talk
very
about
excited.
Bruno.
That will
I
be
can't
March
help it. I just
2nd.
get into it.
I know. That will be March 2nd here at Kyber Cave Productions, 7 p.m. Pacific time, the usual. Here at
Yes.
Kyber Cave Productions. So we're very, very excited for that. She and I have been chatting a little bit by email, and she's absolutely lovely. So
What's
that
up,
will
Jonathan?
be very
What's up, Matt?
exciting.
Matt,
Next
don't
thing-
wait.
Matt.
I totally forgot. I got to tell Matt. I still got to get that. Matt won a gift like 2 weeks ago, and I still haven't put it in the mail yet. I am so sorry,
Yes,
dude.
there's those keychains. Really, Saber keychains. All right, well, next, guys, you always know what our first official segment is.
Yes,
The nerdy.
nerdy news. Oh wow, we even got new news music.
Yeah, I'm vamping things up here at Kyber Cave Productions
Woohoo!
this new year. All right, first thing is Star Wars Goes to the Grammys. Composer of Star Wars Outlaws, Wilbur Roget, I'm the second, I think that's how you say his name, had a hard challenge ahead of him to make the music sound like it belonged to the Star Wars universe. He was extremely successful, and it landed Roget a Grammy nomination for Best Score Soundtrack for video games and other interactive media. Check out the article written below by Amy Zhao of StarWars.com to read about Roget and his journey. She has a very nice interview with him, and I think it's very interesting. And as you know, I will always pop it in the description below and in the chat for you guys to see.
Excellent.
And the Grammys did happen tonight. In this case, he did not win, but the nomination is astronomically and amazing as it is. So, congratulations, Mr. Roger. Next on the nerdy news, Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures completes season 2 this March. New images revealed. So, the second season of Lucasfilm's original animated series will debut in Disney Plus and Disney Junior on Wednesday, March 19th. So that's coming up. The upcoming episodes will see younglings help Prince Cyrus defend his home against pirates and more. So from Wikipedia, if you did not know, yes, that is a real thing. Set during the High Republic era, the animated series follows Jedi younglings as they study the ways of the Force, explore the galaxy, help citizens and creatures in need. If you want to see more info on that, you can look at the description or in the link I just popped into the chat.
Yes, and I have a couple of little bits of nerdy notes. For those that may or may not be aware, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie has wrapped filming. It is due out next year, so we've got a good year of post-production.
Awesome.
As well as Ahsoka 2 has started filming. And there's a lot of big surprises that should be coming for Ahsoka 2. What's up, Basic Wizard? So stay tuned. Hopefully we have some great Star Wars content coming our way. And speaking of which, I want to remind everybody, make sure to head over to kybercave.com for all your Saber needs. We're adding more Sabers on there all the time. We are on the convention circuit, so it's going to be 2 more weeks, and then we will be in San Jose at a toy show and at the Power of Love concert in Auburn. And that is actually a fundraiser for the fires down in LA. So that's going to be in 2 weeks. But until then, make sure to check out kybercave.com. You can also get your merch for KCP at kcpmerch.com. And why don't you tell them about the Patreon? Goose Goose!
If you go to patreon.com/kybercave productions, you can help support us for as little as $1 a month. It helps support the time of mostly me at this point, and taking time to edit for the show and gathering graphics and contacting people and stuff like that. So I really appreciate all of our Patreon members. If you subscribe to tiers, you also actually get perks, things like a shirt, like the one that Van is wearing right now. You can get a hoodie. If you get into the family chapsticks. If you get into the family tier, you actually get for 3 months in a row. You actually entered in drawing for a custom saber on the May 4th, which is coming up, y'all.
That
if you
is
get
true.
in now, if you get in it's February. It'll be 3 months from now. So if you go to patreon.com/kybercave productions and subscribe to the family tier and do it for the next 3 months, you will qualify for the May drawing of a custom saber.
Right, and keep in mind, we are doing, it's for May the 4th, so that means the drawing is actually going to be probably about the 2nd week of April. So right on taxes, that's a great little gift. So right after you do your taxes, you can, if you were in the family tier, you will be in the drawing to win a saber. Now, which one you win and what value you win, it just depends on how many people are in that tier with you.
Yes.
But that is coming up, and the whole idea is we want you to have your saber for May the 4th. So we do the drawing mid-April so that we can mail it out to you and get, yes, on your wedding day. We still got to talk about that.
The wedding day. And hi, Kevin Hogan and Goose Goose. Good to see you both. Next, guys, we have, you guys know James Kaiser.
Woo-hoo!
He is our Flow, the show, our producer, and every week he brings us the flow. And actually, this week is a little special treat because he himself and I believe some of his family members are flows for us this week, doing some firework. And yes, Darth Cephalus has long hair. Please enjoy our Flow, the show. So that is
Woohoo!
Darth Cephalus, Arflo, the show, who's also Arflo producer. And I also want to throw in a congratulations.
I know, tons of congratulations.
Right?
There's
That's
many
freaking
babies.
awesome. So many babies.
Raph, are you having a
Everyone,
baby too?
Congratulations. Oh, goodness.
Um,
I'm glad I'm not.
Yeah, speaking of which, that was so appropriate because I was going to say that's the first time we've ever had a family flow on the show, and I didn't even know James's family did do flow.
I'm guess he didn't say specifically if it was his family, but it seemed fitting that it was his family.
And that child looked about the age of his son. I've never met
Okay.
his son, but I know. So that was very cool. Woo!
Yes, so thank you so much, James, for providing that. Now, sir, would you like to introduce our guest for this evening?
I would. I have been waiting for this one for a long time. This gentleman strolled into the store all willy-nilly, like he was nobody special, and comes up to the Saber cabinet and asks to see a Saber. And I said, yes, would you like to see the Saber? And he said, yes, I'd like to see that one. And I said, do you know anything about this Saber? And he said, I hope so. I designed it. I said, what? So and this was just a chance meeting in our store. So I have been begging this gentleman to come on. He is finally here. I am very excited to talk to him tonight. He is I don't know what his official title is. The visual artist for Lucasfilm. He's worked on many other projects that you know of, several video games, but also Gremlins and Harley Quinn. Were a couple more that I remember on the roster that he's got a ton of. He's worked on Clone Wars, and like I said, a few video games. But this gentleman was the creator of the Temple Guard and of Wrecker from the Bad Batch. So I'm excited to find out about him, his process, how he got into this, and how I can be on his Christmas card list. So, with no further ado, please give it up for Mr. Carlos Sanchez.
And Mr. Sanchez, correct me if I'm wrong, because I put you down as art designer in the credits. Okay, bye.
Ow! Hello, sir.
Hello. That was awesome. That was
No,
that's a
you
really
are
good intro.
awesome.
No, stop it. That was fantastic. And designer is fine. Exactly how she had it. Designer. It's so if you work in either games or TV and film, they all have their own different little nuanced names.
Right,
But,
right.
hey, how's it going? How are you? It's good to see you again.
Oh man, I'm excited to have you here. You don't know how many people I have talked to. I've shown that picture that I took of you when you were in the store.
Yeah,
I have a fantastic photo of Carlos holding the temple guards. I mean, that is one of the coolest photos I have in my phone.
Yeah, it's funny when I saw that again, and then it folded, right? And I was like, I don't think my original design ever folded. And I'm like, I wonder if they added that later. And I went back and I looked at the design, and I have and then I have a story of that as well. But then I did see in the original design, at least in a sketch to the side, that it did
Right.
fold.
Right.
Because I think there was two. We can get into it, but I think we see the Temple Guard in the first time we see him is in Clone Wars, and then the next time we see him is in
Rebels. correct,
Rebels,
sir?
right? Yeah, I
Is
want
it
to say
correct?
Rebels.
I
Yeah,
think you're right.
yeah. Yeah, but it's good to see you. But you're right, like just a chance walking into the store, because we're locals, right?
Right. So now let me ask you, on something like that, you're creating a character, a Temple Guard. For you, I mean, for a lot of Star Wars fans, this is now an iconic character. I know of several people here that do cosplay as Temple Guards. But for you, that was probably just another thing that you were just drawing in the scope of that day, right? You had no idea that this was specifically for a certain character or a certain role.
So the way the process works is you get you get the script, you guys read the script, and then they break out, and then you have a team of designers, and you all get tasks. And if you're lucky enough to get a character plus, and if you're super lucky, you get like a Jedi, right?
Right.
So within my whole time, I think I did 2 Jedis in my time there at Lucasfilm Animation, and one of them was this guy, the Jedi Temple Guard, as close enough, right? And then
Right. I'll take it.
I'll take it. And then the other was a youngling called, his name was Petro, I think. And I did him. I didn't do his lightsaber though. That was a whole different set of that was a whole different task. But I was able to do him as a character, less popular.
Right.
But
So-
no, actually, like when
Are you
I
giving
did
a
it,
direction for those, or are they
Oh, yeah.
saying these? Okay. So they have
Yeah,
an
for
idea
sure.
of what they. Okay, go ahead.
100%. There's an idea that comes from the top at that point, the supervising director, and then if you get a sketch, then all the more wonderful, because you can just kind of go off the sketch and kind of feed off that.
Right.
Sometimes it's verbal directions. Sometimes it's like, hey, we didn't have time to do anything. Just give us a couple of things based on this description in the script,
Okay.
right? But for something like a Jedi Temple Guard or something that important, you'll probably get pretty close direction
Right.
to do it. So, and I sent over a sheet, and you can see some of those. You give them options, 5, 6, 7 different options, and then they'll point to one, and then actually the director will point to one and go, let's use that one, or and then you take that one further, right? So you're just sort of iterating, chopping away at things along the way.
Are you doing this on a computer or freehand,
Yes,
or how are you doing this?
it's all digital.
It's all digital.
I think it's been digital since I want to say since I got in the industry. We started. You would. Actually, that's not true. Maybe about 20. I want to say about maybe 2004, 2005, like around those times. 100% digital. Once the Wacom tablet came in, you were able to draw. We had the tablet, and then and then you're able to draw on the screen now.
Right.
So like once the technology caught up, it was all digital. You can always have your sketches, which I do. You can always have like your own sketchbook and your sketches on the side and stuff or whatever. But when you submit, you would need to do it digitally. Another reason is for speed. You have to kind of be efficient. You can't just like, I drew it, I'm gonna go scan it. Now I'm gonna, like the most efficient way would be to churn this thing out digitally.
Right. So we have a comment here from Goose. This is my boy in Nevada. What's up? He says, amazing designs. I'd love to see the things Carlos has come up with unchained without direction. I don't know if we have any other artwork there, Mets, but that leads me to a thought or a question I had. Do you create like your own characters? Like, do you have your own comic book or your own things that you envision, or are you primarily in the task of other people's visions?
I have always. So right, there's the way I see this is there's two sort of types of artists, right? You have your fine artists, right, who do they do drawing, they do painting and stuff, and they always they create, and you have like commercial artists, right? And I think I'm definitely been more of a commercial artist where I work with direction really, really well. Without direction, I can, and on my own stuff, sure, I'll draw cartoons, all the on my stuff, and I'll create characters or whatever, but it hasn't ever, I've never taken that further enough far. But I prefer, and I think I'm better at. I'm more well suited to help in a production setting and create that vision. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I could send out the link to my website, and there is personal stuff on there that I've done that just and random projects that never went anywhere. So
right.
Yeah.
All right, so Mets had a question that I think you answered, so we're gonna roll into the next one because I think you kind of answered. I'm gonna read it anyway.
Sure.
She said, "What digital tablet do you use to make your designs?" And then you talked about with the advent of the newer systems.
Yeah.
Then she says, "What was your first tablet?" Mine was a Wacom Intuos, and it was a had a big learning curve to use the tablet. You don't really, you don't directly see where you are drawing. Sorry,
Right.
I just slaughtered that.
No, I get it. So I'm going to show you something here. So the tablet that she's talking about, the Intuos 2, I still have one. It's right there. And I still know designers and concept artists that work on that tablet. So you're basically doing this, looking at the
Right.
screen and doing this, right?
Right.
So it's not, you don't get the one-to-one, right? Now they developed these drawing tablets, right? Technology
Yeah.
gets better. Wacom is like this huge industry leader, and they have what they call the Cintiq, and the Cintiq is basically a monitor you draw on. So you're getting a little bit more of that one-to-one.
Right.
So instead of doing this, you're now doing this like you would pen and paper. So that's what I have. I have a smaller one. Some people prefer a really large one. I prefer
Right.
a smaller one because in my mind, I'm always, because you could move the page around. Like when you're drawing for just out just naturally with paper, right? You're drawing here and you're moving the page around.
Mm-hmm.
The Cintiq, I kind of I like that feeling too. So I zoom in, I can move the page around digitally, and so I'm just kind of just drawing in one spot. Some other people like a big Cintiq, so they can draw here, and
Right.
then they can go over here, and then they can go right. That for me, I can't do it.
It's nice to be able to have the choice, though.
You do have the choice, but yeah,
Man,
everything digitally now, and you just gotta adapt with the tools. I think with I'm 52, so I've been doing this for a really long time, and I was doing it before with pen and paper, and I know there's a lot of people that have had a lot of hard time sort of adapting to it,
Right.
as time has gone on. But you really got to adapt or die,
Right.
Yeah. Because the young guys are coming up. These guys are coming out of school, and they're like, my concept stuff is in 3D.
Right.
I see guys now that are like, well, I did this design, this sketch in VR, right? And so you're like, VR I can't do. I'll puke. But
Right.
but the technology, you got to kind of keep rolling with it.
Yeah, I remember I was working in television when they made the switch from analog to digital. So it was like having to go back and relearn everything that you spent years trying to, it was no longer cutting up pieces of physical tape anymore. Now you're doing it on a computer.
Yeah.
Carlos, we got questions. Just everybody's
Sure.
loving you tonight, man. They're just coming
Oh,
in back
what?
to back here.
It's great.
All right, let me go back up just a little bit here. Given the rise of leaks in the industry, does working on a tablet require extra cybersecurity measures? Ooh, good question. For example, Amazon Has Been Hotels Season 2 was leaked by a hacker.
Amazon, I don't know what that is, but
Amazon, there's a show, Has Been Hotel.
Oh.
It's a cartoon. It's on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I guess it was leaked by a hacker. So
Absolutely.
when you're doing things over your drawing pad, is there extra security steps that you have to do?
Depends who you work for. So when I'm just working for myself, I work on my own machine. And that's totally fine. Like there's nothing really on my machine that like is of any value to anyone. But I don't keep anything on this thing. But when I worked for WB, they give me a machine, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
I work on their machine, which has their
Encryption,
securities in place. Yeah. And I imagine that that's a lot of times with these bigger companies, that's the way it is, especially remote now, right? They've really buttoned up a lot of the security measures for sure.
I was going to ask you, and we do have other questions, but as we're here, I was thinking about, you sitting there at the table, and I'm envisioning you doing your work, and it got me thinking about the pandemic. Do you go into an office to work? Do you, or do you work from home, or how does that work for you?
That's great. Story time. I used to work. I went to work when I was working at Lucasfilm. I would go up every day. I would trek up a mountain to Big Rock Ranch. That's where they made the show.
Mm.
And that was a hike. So we would go there, and then you go all the way back down. When the show ended, I was like, man, I live around here now. Like, I got to stay around here. And there weren't that many companies.
Mm-hmm.
So I was fortunate enough to have friends in the industry, and they helped me secure a spot at 2K. And 2K is in Novato. And so I ended up working there.
2K Games, right?
2K Games, yeah.
Right.
They had a studio under 2K, and their name was Hangar 13, and they're still around, but in different ways. But I worked on a game called Mafia there, and then after Mafia came out, we were working on a game, and I had worked on this game for. I'll get to the answer, I promise. I worked on this. I worked on this game for. We all did. Many people worked on this game for about 4 years, and then it didn't come out as things happen for whatever reason, for whatever valid reason, whatever business reason, the game didn't come out. So, but before it didn't come out, I had left because. During that production, that's when the pandemic hit, and everybody was panicked. What do we do? And our studio head was really, really good. About having everybody just go work from home, take the machine that you need. We come home, we take the machine, we work, and we all got set up, and everybody was working remotely. And in my mind, it worked really well. I don't know if in everybody else's mind it worked well, but in my mind, it worked really well. So. During that time, I think everybody got the feeling like, while I'm at home, I don't have to trek all the way to the studio.
Right.
Maybe if I can go look for other jobs, right? Maybe other people, other students, and that's what really kind of, I think, opened it up a lot. Well, I know the pandemic was awful and it was bad for a lot of people, but but what it did, I think, for this industry is open it up to remote work, and for studios to finally take that jump and go, you know what, maybe we can develop where with people scattered to the four winds, maybe we can develop a product,
right?
So whether it's games or in animation, right? So I think you're starting to see that close up now a little bit more. I think people want their people back at work, but
I
for sure. No, I
was...
don't. Sorry, I had the same idea too. So. I left 2K and I went to work at Warner Brothers, who's in in Burbank, and I've never been there. I never went to the studio. Like, this whole time, I've never been to the studio, but I ended up working. I got hired remotely to work there, which was nice.
Right. Which would have been Harley Quinn, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, the first one was Gremlins. I got hired by a former the network, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the designers. She was a designer on Clone Wars, and after Clone Wars ended, I don't know where she was, but she ended up at Warner Brothers, and she would ping from time to time, hey, do you want to work here? Do you want to come down? I was like, man, I can't move, oh, I got a family, like I gotta move. And then when the pandemic hit, she was like, no, it could be remote, like just come down. I was like, okay, right? Like if I don't have to actually physically move.
Yeah,
I can do the work.
That changes everything.
Changes everything.
That is amazing. All right, we got. Let me back up just a little bit here. We had. Let's see. Is there any design or concept that you're especially proud of to this day, Star Wars related or otherwise?
Oh, not any one design, but I don't think there's any one design, but. I am very, very proud of the Clone Wars stuff. To be 100% clear, I wasn't the superstar on that show designer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would happily do props, happily do interiors of spaces, happily do retextures, happily, I was happy to do anything there. But that body of work, I think, was very it was like designer boot camp, right? Like you would your stuff had to be so on point because it couldn't come back.
Right.
Like they had to be able to fix it or build it in one shot, and that's your design had to be so buttoned up.
Right.
Whereas before, things could have been loose. At other companies I was at, they were like,
Right.
it's just a loose drawing, and we'll interpret it. That's not how it was over there. It was very buttoned
Did that
up.
put a lot of pressure on you?
Yes.
Did you feel anxious about that, or?
Yes, but good anxious. Like it's like solving a puzzle, right? Like if you were like, well, I got to figure this thing out. I got to figure it out in 3D and how they're gonna build it in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put that hat on and make sure that it works for a TV show, because you can make something look cool from the front, but from the back, like, are you going to be able to figure that part out, right?
Right.
So it's hard work, but honestly, that stuff is some of the most gratifying work that I've done.
But I was gonna say, at that level, I mean, especially when you are expected to perform at that level, and you have to assume that everybody else working around you is performing at that level. I mean, it goes to show, you kind of being elite, being in an elite group where, this is expected of you, and not everybody could handle that kind of pressure on a day-to-day basis.
I would say go look at shows, Clone Wars shows. It isn't just the design team.
Mm-hmm.
That was sort of the philosophy throughout the whole show. Was the quality.
Right.
And they would solve things. They would problem solve things. It was really nice. Like if they couldn't do a big furry character, the style would benefit it so that it looked really good. Like if you compared CG shows from our time when we did it to like other CG shows, Clone Wars is above and beyond. And you could look now too at some of like the Lucas film shows that are happening out now. And I know some of the art director over there. Like there's still a standard. It's really a really high standard over there that they expect, and that fans expect.
Right. And even too, I watch a lot of YouTube channels and people, a lot of Star Wars things, and people forever are always talking about the quality of Clone Wars, how from season 1 you could see a big jump in season 2, and that it wasn't just going to just be accepting of whatever, that they were constantly trying to up the game. And it came across visually, it came across in the storytelling.
100%.
It was definitely a show to be proud of.
No, it was.
Have you always been, now when you were a little kid, were you doodling on scratch paper, or is this something that was a learned skill?
Both. So I actually think like I'm like not the, there's that idea where you're growing up and everybody would always say like, oh, you're talented, you have talent,
right?
But if for me, I didn't have that sort of raw talent, and I still don't think that I do. Like, but I don't. But the what I can do is like learn it. So I can mimic pretty good. So if I get a tutorial, if I know how something is done, I can pick it apart and I can do it. And I think like as a kid, that's kind of how I liked to draw. Like I would look at a comic, I would draw the comic, and then I would pick apart what was wrong with it, and then I would do it again, right? Like that sort of thing for characters. So it was hard. It's learning, like anything else. Honestly, anybody that tells you any different is wrong. Like it takes practice. You aren't just gifted and know things, right?
Right.
Yeah, no. Like, but
I can imagine that type of skill, especially early on, is useful when you're going from Gremlins to a project that's completely on the opposite end, like Harley or Star Wars or any of these other projects. It allows for you to work on these different genres without being stuck in one particular style or one way of doing things.
Yeah. So that's true, and it's good and bad. So a lot of times, let's take a company like Blizzard, right? Blizzard looks for artists that can, and I hope I don't get blasted for this. Blizzard looks for artists that draw like Blizzard, right? Like they need, there's a certain look that Blizzard has,
right?
And they were like, and if you don't, if your whole vibe isn't that,
Right.
they're not going to look at you. They're not going to go, you know what? I really like this guy. He doesn't really, they don't really paint like we want them to, but we can teach them that.
Right.
They don't do that. They
Right,
need
right.
you
They're
to
the next.
yeah, exactly. It's this all day long, right? They're just throwing things out.
Right.
My stuff is a little bit more like all over the map. I have some stuff, and I can tell you where my weaknesses are. But like the my stuff has cartoony stuff in it. It has an attempt at realism.
Mhm.
Like it. So my spectrum is a little bit broader as far as like art styles. Some people are just like really honed in, and they're good. That's the other
Right.
thing too. Is if you hone in and you're good on and you sharpen that knife just on the one thing you do,
Right.
there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to go really far because you do that one thing, and somebody will be like, I need that one person.
Right.
Me, I like the shotgun blast approach of like, hey, here's a bunch of stuff. Anybody need anything?
It's so interesting to me because we had recently, and when I say recently, this is probably when I say recently, it could be anywhere from yesterday to 5 years ago. But I want to say a few months ago we had David Warren on, who worked for Warner Brothers. He did Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain,
Awesome.
but he also worked on The Simpsons. And we were talking about how you go from such different dynamics to be able to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, I think there's also just a level of professionalism that you have to have, and be able to say like, I will learn this. It's the same thing, right? Like, and there's rules, there's guidelines, and everything is. A lot of times things are set up for you. Like if you come on a show and it's and they're like, well, it's not the style that you're used to, but here's a style guide. So you
Right.
can look at that guide, learn it, and then and then work on it. And that's what style guides are for, to be honest, so that anybody and good style guides will help any artist jump on a
Right.
board
All right.
and get on a project fast. Go ahead.
So Greg has a question here. He says, "Old debate, I know, but Mac or PC? Because I know that 3D texturing and rendering takes a beast of a CPU."
PC.
PC.
For me, always it's PC. I can't design on a Mac. I don't understand it. I don't know how people do it, but people do it.
Okay.
A lot of artists do just paint now with like Procreate on Mac, and they take their tablet everywhere, which is really nice. It's just not for me. It's for me. I need that CPU power. I need to run a 3D program along with an intense graphic program. So, it's PC for me.
Do you find the work that you do
Same.
in for video games different than the work that you do for cartoon? I know. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand that the work is different. What I'm thinking about more is like the process or the artistry of it, or is it just variations of the similar things,
That's a good
or do you
question.
treat it differently? Yeah.
Your approach is going to be different because the need is different. The script. So with a TV show, you have a script, and the script always comes before you start designing anything. Not always, but normally, that's the process, right? They've written a
Right.
script. There's a character in the script. You draw that character, and then that character is done. In a game, when you're developing a game, a lot of times, especially if it's just starting up,
Okay.
they're like, our hero is a robot. 4 months later, hey, you know what? There's a game that just came out. It's already got a hero robot. Okay, now our hero is a zombie. Okay, so now we're changing it to a zombie. Okay, now our hero is a duck. Oh, okay, well our hero is a duck. So
Right.
I think like
So you're constantly adapting.
you're constantly
and shifting.
changing.
Yeah.
So that sort of regiment that I was talking about before, where you detail out every drawing so that the 3D artists can make it, a lot of
Yeah.
times there isn't time for that in games. A lot of times you're doing the best you can. You're doing as quickly as you can to get the idea across.
Right.
And sometimes they build from that, and then then you move on. You move on to the next thing. For games, it's I don't want to call it the churn, but it's
Right.
the iteration is a little bit faster. For animation, I've always found that the designs are always a lot more finished, a lot more polished, and a lot more delivered very cleanly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And do you have a preference, or do you go back and forth fluidly, or?
Yeah, I enjoy either. I enjoy either process. Yeah. For me, like it's just time wise though. Like it depends on the production timeline too. You got to be able to adapt to some of that stuff. If the timeline is shorter, you know that everybody will have to understand that that the sketches are going to be rougher, or the drawings are not going to be as polished as they need to be if you got to get it out in a day or two, right?
Right.
So, but if you got like, a week and a half to do one design, like it's going to be tight. It has to be tight, right?
Plus,
it has to get reviewed all along the way. So that's the other thing too, right? You got to get it reviewed along the way. So just because I draw something, that doesn't mean that's the final thing. You have to show it to people, right? You have to have dailies. People have to approve it. Other people have to weigh in. I think that's the one thing about the design process too, is you have to, everything that you're precious about, you need to throw away, right? Like people are going to tear you apart. People are going to tear not to scare future designers, like they'll tear apart your art, and because you're not the end all be all. The project is.
Right. You have to have thick skin.
You gotta have thick skin, right? You know it.
Right. So now, for you, Carlos, because this is what you do for your living, do you, when you're not, on the clock, do you paint, go out in the backyard and paint a beautiful sunset, or do you do artwork in your personal life that has nothing to do with work?
I would love to do that more. I really would. Like that's a goal. Like maybe that's my, that's my resolution. But is to get out there and do a little bit more of that. Draw for myself.
Right.
But a lot of times after a hard day of drawing, like I don't want to go do more of it.
Right.
You kind of get that mental fatigue on it. But
right.
But I should. And an artist will tell you, the good ones will tell you you're doing it all the time.
Right.
But I should find a nice something to paint.
Well, and then that's the other thing too. I tend to notice, we do so many of these incredible interviews, but people who, especially when they're very talented in one art form, they tend to be talented in another art form as well. It's just that they're not as well known for that. So maybe if they're a famous musician, they're also a great dancer, but nobody knows they're a great dancer because they're used to them with guitar. Or if they're a great painter, sometimes people don't know that they're additionally a great singer because they're known for painting. Do you do any other type of leisurely arts?
No. So the thing is I got, I'm married and I have 4 kids. Oh. And so there's not a lot of time after work to just kind of like relax and chill. There's homework to be done.
Right.
There's
real world.
There's real world stuff. There's dinners to make. Those sorts of things. Actually, right. Can be fulfilling within themselves. So, and it's a mental break from what you do. But again, finding something creative like that. Like I don't play any instruments. I don't do anything. This is all I ever did. And mm-hmm. I think that was my thing too. Like growing up was like, it was make art and make a living doing art or die.
Right.
I couldn't figure it out. I didn't know it. I didn't have a jump shot. So.
Well, I mean, that's, so for so many people, that's the dream, right? To be able to I mean, I know a million people that would love to be able to make a living from the art that they do, whether it's music or mm-hmm. whatever the art is that they do. What about the rest of your family? Are you a black sheep, or are your kids artists as well, or does your wife relate to you with your work, or is she totally different?
She's totally different. It's definitely the opposites attract, and I think with my wife 100%, she has that. I get my mind is like really can be really floaty at times, and I can
right.
just, get lose track and stuff, and my wife always kind of brings the reality back into the house, and that's
it's the peanut butter and the jelly. You gotta balance
peanut butter
it out.
And the jelly. Yeah, it's a great way to put it. That's exactly what it is. My kids, they're creative in their own ways. My boys are big gamers, and my daughter plays soccer. My other daughter just graduated high school, and finding her path and stuff. So they all have creativity in them, but no like technical artists or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Do you get Do your kids think it's cool, or just that your job is just a normal job like anybody else? Do your kids, like, for instance, when I saw you, I don't know who they were, but you had two younger
Yeah.
girls with you.
Yeah, my
And
daughter.
I was fanboying. I was like gigging out, and my thought, I was like, are they used to seeing that kind of a treatment, or are you're just dad?
I'm just dad. It was like, can we go?
Hello, Floral.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. I'm just dad. Like, and that's how I want it to be. That's how I've always wanted it to be. Like, that's just who I am, right? So
Right. Do you get to do any cool, like, go to premieres of things, or?
So that's the rub, right? Because I'm remote, they had some really nice sort of rap parties, like for Harley, for this last season of Harley for season 5. There was a rap party that in Burbank I didn't get to go to because it's far. Right? And I'm like, if I was there, I really would have went. But yeah, there are things that come up here and there when you're at studios that you can go to for sure.
Right.
But I haven't been to a lot of them, mostly because I'm a hermit.
Have you ever been in the same room with the man himself?
Yes.
Oh, have you spoken to him personally?
You want to hear a story? So
yeah, yes, I want. Of course, that's why you're here, man.
So
Yes.
So you're not really supposed to approach him. You're not really supposed to talk to him, right? Like, this was back then. This, again, I don't know what's happening over there now, but 10 years ago, you didn't approach him. He's incredibly busy. He's so many things, but he was very involved in all the productions, right? At that time, it's before Disney. Very, very involved in every aspect. Phenomenally involved, like, right? You're like, oh my gosh, like, really? So, but one morning I got there early. I had to get a design done. I think I was there at like maybe 7 a.m. or something. And I walk in, and as I'm walking to my desk, he's walking this way, right?
Right.
He's walking toward me. I'm like, oh my god, right? And we're walking like this, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna say hi. There's no one around. I'm gonna say hi. I'm gonna say hi. So I was like,
I can imagine all this dialogue going through your head.
All of it. And then what do I say to him? No, just say hi. Be normal, right? So he's coming up, and he says hi first, and I didn't expect that, right? And he was like, "Hey, good morning," and I go, "Hey!" I was like, "Oh, that was way too loud. Wow, so loud." I was like, "Hey!" Oh my god! Oh, why did I say that? And I just kept walking.
Right.
That was, that it was just those sorts of things. But he was around all the time.
Right.
We bring people in, you walk around. They have an area there that where everyone eats together and stuff. But you don't really go up to him and carry on conversations. He's just there, and he's like decorations. So that's how it was. I don't know how it is now, but yeah. But to see him to see him wasn't a rare occasion. He was there all the time.
Okay. Are you I don't know what things you may be working on now. I don't know if you're allowed to talk about things. Are you working on any projects now that we might know about?
So but we wrapped before the summer. We wrapped season 5 of Harley, which is airing now. I was absolutely lucky enough to be the art director on that show. So I think it's its 3rd episode in. So go check that out, Harley. Woo-hoo. I'm not sure if you've got Harley animation fans out there. Since then, I had working on contract at a game studio. I don't want to say which one, but I'm working on contract at a game studio, and they're in the city. Mm-hmm. It's a smaller game studio. They are making something really fun, really quirky. And I'm really fortunate. This is a really creative team, and I'm really fortunate to work with these guys. A really good group of minds here. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm on right now.
This project that you're working on, I'm not going to ask what it is, but when is it due out? Is it due out multiple years from now? Due out soon?
No. I want to say maybe a year and a half. I don't really know that level of it.
Mhm.
Again, I'm just, and so that's kind of where I am with these guys. Like, it's because I'm contract, I don't really get all the information, but
Mm.
maybe a year and a half, I don't know. But I'm just happy to be on it, churning stuff out, and I'll let you know. I'll let you know what that is once it gets announced.
Carlos, would you ever consider going to a con and meeting maybe some of your fans?
Fans?
People, I mean, like I said, when I told people that this is the guy that designed the Temple Guard, I had people fanboying all out.
What?
And,
Yeah,
people love the Bad Batch.
yes, yeah, they do. That's crazy.
And especially Wrecker.
Yeah, crazy. I loved what they did with him. Like, they developed him a little bit more than just like the knucklehead I thought he was going to be, right? Like, so
Right.
I thought, yeah, I really loved. I loved Wrecker. I loved designing him. I loved what they did with him as a character.
Right.
Yeah, but
When
yeah,
you're-
for sure, I
when
would.
you're-
If you, yeah, I would. No one's invited me to do anything like that, so
You know what? Next time I have a con, I'm going to call you.
I'll find something to sign.
Yeah, no. When you're doing like a character like Wrecker or any of the other characters, do you create a personality for them in your head? Are they like almost like, oh, that kind of reminds me of my Uncle Jack? So Uncle
that's so
Jack had a really deep, burly voice, and
I mean, I guess to a point, don't you? But a lot of that stuff is kind of already given to you. So you don't really get that design a lot all the way down. Not there. Sometimes in other projects, I think I've been able to dive deep into the character like that, but not here. Like, not. I think it was that stuff. It's already kind of briefed out for you.
right.
And you're really just kind of fleshing it out, like one of the things about Wrecker, I can tell you this. One of the things about Wrecker was to decide how big he was. I know that they originally wanted him very big.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, this guy's huge. He doesn't fit in the door, right? Like, he's a big dude. So I made him big. Actually, I gave him 3 different sizes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we went with the smallest one because he's the one that didn't look the strangest, right? But they want to see that. They want you to go far so that you can
Right.
pull back in. The problem is if you don't go too far, a little bit more, a little bit more, and that wastes a lot of time. So you give them
Right.
you push the furthest, and then you rein in. That's
Yeah.
with a lot of things. But yeah, the big, I think the biggest thing with him was finding his scale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm super happy with how he turned out. Yeah.
Oh, he is fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you ever geek out and like go to the toy stores and like look at little action figures and things like that?
Oh,
Or do
yeah.
you have any of the toys of things that you've created, like a little gremlin on your shelf back there somewhere?
No, no, but it is fun to see. Yeah, it is fun to see. With Wrecker, it's funny because and a lot of these designs, is you're only a part of it, right? Like your part is the look. There's an actor that brings himself to there's the 3D artist that puts themselves in. There's the texture artist that puts the textures into it and makes it really come to life. So you're just sort of kind of a part of it, and to see that whole pipeline in one character is like really cool. Like, even just, and then you see it as a toy and you're like, that's really awesome. That's really
Right,
cool.
right.
And it isn't just, and I never look at a toy and go, man, that's mine. That's solely mine. Like, it's because it's not, it really isn't, like but yeah, for sure. Like, it's always, it's always fun.
Let's see. Basic Wizard here says, talking about the convention, have some of your portfolio work out on the table. We'd love to see you at a con. We love all the artists behind the art that we love. And Greg says, Wrecker is awesome. Love the red 99 and the broken teeth on the helmet.
Yeah. The broken teeth on the helmet. That was supposed, the mark, the white mark on Wrecker's helmet. I don't know if you guys noticed. I don't think anybody's ever mentioned this, but it's supposed to mimic like a Wampa skull.
Oh,
So, yeah. So it has the two the two tusks and some broken teeth and stuff. But it's just like it's rough. It's not. It's just an indication of it. Also kind of
Right.
like a skull of it. But
I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like I learned some trivia tonight. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that at a Star Wars party.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh wow, that is so cool. Well, we are getting ready. We're running up
Sure.
on the end of our time. Is there anything? If somebody was, well, first off, what did you go? You went to college for the work that you do, I assume, correct? Or is this?
Yeah, I went to an art school that doesn't exist anymore. But I
Like, what
think
would a person go to school for if they wanted to do the type of work that you do? Just illustrator, or?
yeah, I think definitely if you're going to start taking art classes, it's the fundamentals. You got to learn that first before you start drawing anything, right? Like start drawing, spheres and blocks and flowers and learn from that. But people now are it's a wondrous time. YouTube University has everything that you need to know. I actually think probably about 10 years ago, I would say, yeah, you have to go to school, you have to go to you have to go to art center, or you have to go to these fine Savannah College of Art and Design. Like, no, now a lot of companies don't care. They want to see your portfolio. Your portfolio matters. Your professionalism matters. You matter, right? Like you can't go in there and go, I'm a fantastic talent, but you're a jerk to work with. Nobody wants that, right? They won't.
Right.
And so I think one of the things to do as a young artist, I think, is to get your chops up, right? And learn as much as you can, draw as much as you can, especially early on when you're younger. You're a sponge, and your growth goes really quick. But when you get older, you start, these tricks kind of get stuck. So it's a little bit harder to learn some of this stuff. But you're always a student. I'm always a student. You always got to keep going.
Right.
But to get into the industry, I think, get drawing. Focus on what you want to do. Do you want to do entertainment design? Do you want to do graphic design? Do you want to do, whatever it is? Focus and then learn that and then do that, right? If you want to work at Blizzard, draw like Blizzard. Honestly, like if you study what they do, what they like, and just continue to do it, like that sort of thing.
Excellent. Man, Carlos, I have had so much fun talking tonight.
Oh, really?
It is amazing how quickly
it's been really
time.
Fun.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a while. I wasn't sure if we were actually gonna get you on here.
I know. I apologize for all of that, but like it was great. It was really great talking to you. I really
and I would love if you ever have projects that you're allowed to talk about. If you have new stuff to promote or things that you're working on, please let me know. We'd love. I'm sure the people in the audience would love to have you back on again. You actually got a ton of questions. It's funny, we have this show open and we've always advertised that it's live interactive where people can ask questions, but I don't know if people just get shy or whatever, but tonight they were just on fire for you tonight.
Oh, that's great. It's great to hear.
Now, if you are interested in finding out more about Carlos's work, as always, our wonderful director, Mezzo, will put it down in the description down below. There will be links to Carlos's different places. I'm not sure if you have an Instagram or where people can find you.
Sure. I'll post. I'll send that to you guys.
Okay, and I'm sure Metz might have that as well. Metz, sure. you got that right. I'm sure
I'll get it. I'll get it if she doesn't.
She's smart.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh man, Mr. Carlos, I cannot thank you enough. I've had just a wonderful time. And I learned so much, and we all have some new trivia about record now.
Yeah. Awesome. That sounds great.
All right. You have a beautiful night.
You too, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for coming on.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Yes,
Did that inspire you to get drawing again, Metz?
Honestly, I was sitting there looking. I commented and I was looking at a Cintiq 16, like while you guys were talking. I was like, I have a business account now and I can finance, and I am literally 2 months away from paying off of my computer. So I'm like,
More debt, more debt.
yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it sounds, it does make me want to draw. I really wanted to get more into digital painting, stuff like that. Like I have two programs basically. I have Adobe Illustrator, but I also have like Corel Painter, and I really enjoy. I used to paint on canvas, and I loved it very much, but man, is it a mess. And I do miss it, but that kind of was like a nice way to digitally paint something and stuff. And you had layers like you do on digital programs, which is always useful. Layers, if you don't know what a layer is, anyway.
And
yeah,
thank you, Wizard, for the nice compliment for myself and for Carlos.
Yeah, so our Saber Rattle background that we have that says Saber Rattle up there and stuff like that is, for example, a bottom layer that's beneath us, and so like that's kind of a way to describe layers of things on top of each other and whatnot. So like if I put that on top of us, we wouldn't be seen. But yes, I went to YouTube University, I guess you can say, for like pretty much everything I learned on editing. I took one class on Skillshare. And that was for like intermediate Premiere Pro like stuff. And so, which I enjoyed, but like I love to just, and I do get frustrated sometimes, but I'm a person that likes to play with programs and learn how to use things on my own. I'm very similar with video games. I don't always like to use a tutorial. I like to just kind of play with stuff.
Figure it out.
Anyway, so that was very interesting. I very much enjoyed that from someone who used to draw a lot and now is like wanting to draw again, just from that interview. So
I feel like after every interview, like when we have somebody that does karate, you're like ready to get back out there again and start.
I wish I could. I just can't. Not with the hardware on my foot. But it really gives me like excitement and what's
I
that
feel like
word
you get
when
encouraged
you think
by
back
all
on
our interviews.
what's that? Nostalgic. I'm like neuralgic. No, that's not right. I get nostalgic about remembering how it was being a martial arts. It's stuff I know about a bit. So like it was very exciting to have Swerve on last week,
right.
and whatnot. Like you saw with all my questions I had ready.
And so just so you guys know, too, next week we have a cosplayer back on. She is well known in Northern California. Her name is Cosbunny Cosplay. And she was at SAC, and she was one of the featured cosplayers at SAC Anime recently. So that will be our guest for next week. So as you know, if you've been following the show for a while, we try to change it up every week. We like to bring in celebrities and cosplayers and saber makers and all kinds of people in the nerd community.
All right. So we're going to try something new for a second. And I told Van about this, and I told Mr. Sanchez, and I wanted to see what you all think. I typed in an idea for a Star Wars story into ChatGPT, and it popped out a few chapters of something. And I wanted to read those to you and see what you thought. Star Wars, a ChatGPT story. Shadow of the Resistance. The Empire believed him dead. The rebellion whispered his name like a ghost story. His real name was Kieran Voss, a former Imperial officer who vanished after betraying the Empire. But in the underworld of the Outer Rim, he was only known as Shadow Fist, a fugitive, a warrior, and a hidden ally of the Resistance. Kieran had also served under Grand Moff Tarkin himself, a brilliant strategist who saw the flaws in the Empire's cruelty. He was there when Alderaan was destroyed. He watched millions perish and realized he was serving tyranny. He defected, but the Empire never forgave traitors. A bounty was placed on his head, and he disappeared into the criminal underbelly of Nar Shaddaa, where their only law was credits and survival.
Yeah.
For years, Kieran worked in the shadows. He smuggled rebel spies through Imperial blockades, sabotaged supply lines, and fed intelligence to the Resistance under the alias Shadow Fist. He became a ghost story among Imperial officers, a specter striking from the dark, then vanishing before they could retaliate. And now the mission that changed everything. I know Basic was dang, JPT knows what Nar Shaddaa is. When whispers reached him that the Empire had discovered a secret resistance base on Dathomir, he knew he couldn't stand by. A full Imperial assault was imminent, and the rebels had no idea. Disguising himself as a mercenary, Kieran infiltrated the Empire's main communications hub on I always pronounce this one wrong. Eridu. Slicing onto their transmissions, he intercepted the attack orders and had an entire fleet. An entire fleet was en route. With time running out, he hijacked a stolen TIE interceptor, narrowly escaping the TIE fighters in pursuit. Arriving at Dathomir's hidden outpost, he warned the Resistance in time for an evacuation, but the Empire arrived faster than expected. Star Destroyers loomed overhead. The rebels were still loading supplies when the first wave of the TIE bombers descended. Kieran took command of a group of desperate fighters, rallying them into defensive positions. He hot-wired an abandoned ATST, using it to cut down stormtroopers, then led a charge through the swamps. Though vastly outnumbered, they held long enough for the transports to escape. But Kieran stayed behind, covering the last freighter as it fled into hyperspace. When the stormtroopers finally overwhelmed him, he was battered, bleeding, but still standing. The Imperial officer in charge stepped forward, removing his helmet. Commander Valen Dorn, the very man who placed the bounty on Kieran years ago. "You should have stayed in the shadows, Voss," Dorn sneered, raising his blaster. Kieran, defiant to the last moment, smirked. "The shadows are where the revolutions begin." Then a streak of red plasma ripped through the night sky, a Resistance X-Wing squadron dropping from hyperspace, their lasers screaming death. The Imperials scattered as the ground erupted in fire and smoke. A lone fighter dove toward the battlefield, its cockpit sliding open. "Get in, Shadow Fist!" It was Poe Dameron.
Nope.
With one last shot at Dorn, Kieran leaped into the co-pilot seat and the X-Wing roared into the sky. The Resistance had gained a legend that day. The fugitive had fought in the open and survived. From that moment on, Shadow Fist was no longer a name whispered in secret. He was a warrior of the Resistance.
Ooh.
So that was kind of like...
That was... Wait, what was... Yeah, wait, that was a... What was the prompt for that again?
I said, hey, ChatGPT, can you give me a story of I think it was like something like a defected person from the dark side. It's how I put it. Like in Star Wars, who was hiding, and that's kind of like just what it gave me. It gave me the rest of that. I know. Third act, Poe Dameron revealed. Anyway, so I thought that was kind of fun and
X-Wings only have
interesting.
one seat, though, don't they?
Yeah, but it's not very perfect. No person wrote that, but yeah,
Wow.
I just thought that was kind of
You know
interesting.
what? We should try it for next week. We should go. We should give ChatGPT the prompt like, give me a 2-minute retelling of Star Wars, but in the style of Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh my gosh! Or say it like a Valley Girl would, or put it in this section in the style of a horror movie.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, we should do.
Oh my gosh.
Do. That's what we should do. 2 minutes Star Wars. Retell us Return of the Jedi in 2 minutes in the style of Shakespeare.
Oh, that's hilarious. All right. Well, next is our usual segment of Guess That Character.
Woo-hoo.
All of you put into the chat who you think it is, and as usual, Arctic Scholar will put it in the private chat. Who do you think this is? Come on, you gotta know.
We still need the music. Bro,
Ark,
Mace
you
is
are correct.
bald, man. If his head looks
And
like
Mace
that, he's
was
bald.
last week. You didn't even get Mace last week, Van. Shut up.
Hey, you know what? He didn't have hair.
Yeah, but you are correct, Van. This is
I am?
actually Finn.
Woo!
It is Finn. So Finn, formerly designated FN-2187, was a Force-sensitive human male and former stormtrooper who served the First Order until his desertion and subsequent defection to the Resistance during the First Order Resistance War. We see him along with Rey, like in the first movie New Hope. It was really cool to see. I liked his character a lot. I wish they could, something would happen and he could come back because I really liked his character. You could tell he was Force sensitive, but I wanted to see him do more. I felt like he had so much behind him. All right, our next character, which will be harder, no doubt.
I still say we need like Cantina music or something.
I know you're right. That's what I was thinking of earlier. I was like, there was a segment that Van wanted music with, and I couldn't remember what. And I was like, ooh, I want new news music, and that's what I got. So that's what distracted me. All right.
All right.
Who do you think this is? Do 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 do. You are incorrect.
I'm
It
wrong.
is-
Oh,
I'll give you all this clue.
Ooh,
It is
wow.
a video game
I
character.
don't even know who Rafa Matiz is.
It's
Or
a video
Martez?
game character,
Oh, okay.
which means you won't get it, Van.
Sabil-
Does it happen to be a more well known from the movies or shows character?
Okay.
Is not Sabine Wren, is not Rafa. This is actually Night Sister Marin.
Oh,
So,
nice.
Marin was a Dathomirian Night Sister who lived on her homeworld Dathomir during the Imperial era. A survival of General Grievous's massacre of the Night Sisters during the Clone Wars, Marin encountered the Jedi Master Terran Malikos after he crash landed on Dathomir following the execution of Order 66 in 19 BBY, which called for the extermination of all Jedi. Malikos fell to the dark side of the Force, and wishing to learn Night Sister's magic, he manipulated Marin through lies that the Jedi were responsible for her losses and false promises to help her avenge her fallen friends, sisters, and mothers. So I saw a picture of her and thought, she looks pretty sick.
She is.
So I decided to do her because it was very interesting, and it makes me want to look at. I can't remember the name of the game that she was in, but I want to go back and look at that. But hey, don't worry, Mezzo is finally going to be recording some Jedi Fallen Order this week. Jedi Survivor Fallen Order. Which one did I just do? Anyway, I will be playing more Cal Kestis' story this week and recording for you guys to be able to see. Finally,
Excellent.
a 5-minute
Oh.
recap of Star Wars' Monty Python. Oh, Hammond.
I love it. I love
That
it.
is hilarious. I do
So
love
we
that.
gotta write these down. Oh, just to let you know too, we should we get a commercial for this, but in 2 weeks from now, so we've got Cos Bunny cosplayer next week, but in 2 weeks from now we have another very big celebrity on. It's not somebody I knew about, but apparently this is a Joe Caroni, Eric, our production or convention manager. Helped bring us this artist, but he is an artist that is well known and celebrated at Star Wars Celebration. In fact, he often has his own displays there. He is a very well known Star Wars illustrator, so he will be on the show. I think he works primarily in comic books and other types of visual arts, as opposed to say Carlos, who does the movies and video games and such.
Mm-hmm.
So, Joe Crony and Joe will be at Star Wars Celebration this year as well. But Joe will be on the show in 2 weeks from now.
All
So we
right,
just
that's
got bangers
awesome.
back to back to back to back.
back to back to back to back. All right, you guys. Also, we have conventions that Van goes to every year, and Mezzo here, who literally has only been to the Kyber Con ones, actually might be attending a con soon.
Yes.
So actually, if by chance you know who I even am, I'll be there to say hi. Van knows I'm the person that's like, I don't think anyone knows me. So like, I'm that person that's like, I'm not going to believe that until someone actually like walks up that I don't know and is like Mezzo or something like that. So maybe one day, but at this moment, I'm kind of like, nope.
So just to let you know, I will give you, for the people who are watching the show, a little bit of the early scoop. It has not been finalized, but it is in the works. We are going to be getting Mets out to a few shows this year, but we are starting with Kyber K Productions. This channel will be sponsoring VacaCon. So we will have a table where Mets will be there. She will be signing autographs with some of our other hosts from our other shows. They'll be going around talking to cosplayers and getting all kinds of footage. So they will be there for a couple of days. But we are very excited to start touring KCP this year. And so you can come and get your picture with Mets. Come get her autograph.
I don't even have an autograph thing that I've ever signed before, and I have no idea how I would sign something. Like, you know how
It's just
people
your
who
signature.
do sign autographs practice their signature, and I'm kind of like, what? So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, James Kaiser, for Flow of the Show, which was you and some others. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Carlos.
Sanchez, for coming on our show. I very much enjoyed that, and a lot of the chat was really interested in a lot of things that you were doing and asked a lot of questions.
And of
More
course,
than we
thank you to
usually get.
everybody in the chat and everybody watching. We had a
Yes.
great audience tonight.
Thank you to everyone watching tonight. We really appreciate you coming in and being active in the chat. It's actually very helpful. Again, if you want to help support us, you can go to kcpmerch.com where you can check out a bunch of merch. We've got shirts, sweatshirts, phone cases. We've got
Blankets, beer mugs.
pint glasses for Retro Alcove, and much, much more. You can go to kybercave.com and purchase a saber that helps support the channel, or you can go to patreon.com/kybercave productions and support for as little as $1 a month, with perks on each tier. All right, guys, you have a wonderful evening. Enjoy our ending segment, Talk of the Town. See you guys next week.
Adios.